Everybody back again, Warp Charge Gaming Live. I always want to say Battlegrounds because I've gotten really used to saying that. But I'm not. I'm at my house and I'm here with Chris.
What up?
And we do this every Thursday. And this is the 116th time we've done it. So we haven't done it every Thursday for all time, but we're working on it from this time forward, basically.
Damn right.
Yeah, because hopefully there's games to play for all time. Honestly, Chris, I'm glad you're here because I could talk to you about Infinity for just a moment.
Hey, you know what? I'm literally down. You shared some very, 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 very cool models in the chat. I don't know if it was today or yesterday, but recently.
Yeah, they got some really cool models. Well, I say that because today, and like I had done prior to pandemic hitting, was Thursdays were actually Infinity Days at Battlegrounds, and the release of the newest edition is coming. And I was about to say, I hope forever on, 40K is available to play, but in my heart of hearts, Infinity would be the game that I kept if I was locked on an island. If you had to trap me on an island where I could play one game forever on,
with the Infinity Island.
With the collection I have, especially, even though I have probably way more 40K models and way more dollar value in 40K, the quality of the game, I would rather play Infinity for the rest of my life. So big statement, right? Well, it was interesting because we are talking a lot about it today. And what's interesting to me, Chris, is that you saw me from my infancy as a tabletop wargamer. I had never.
What up, Tyler?
Cool. I got to pull up the old chat. Just jumping right in, Tyler. It's episode 116, and for those that don't know, we talk about tabletop wargaming, particularly Warhammer 40K, Games Workshop. But we were just getting into the idea that I've over the last year stepped into another game called Infinity by Corvus Belli, and it really stole my heart. And what's interesting to me is that seeing as I went from 7th into 8th with 40K, and now 8th into 9th, while simultaneously seeing Infinity go from its 3rd edition into its 4th edition. And I'm getting to see the two different companies literally mirroring each other in the way that they release something, and comparing it to the way that 40K, because even what's different now with 9th edition that recently just came out for Warhammer 40K, is that it, when they came out in 8th, they totally nuked everything and we went index. Ooh, nice. Yeah. And now, this time, it was very strange because of the way that it was already a strange year, 2020. We all know that. From the moment that Adepticon was canceled, 2020 was on its head for the ITC, for Warhammer 40K, the releases, our expectations. We didn't get the FAQs we used to getting. And then, followed suit was every other event and just 2020 going the way it is. We don't have Nova. We don't have the FAQs that follow that. So, was 9th edition something that was going to be later and that they jumped it ahead of schedule? Because what's been going on is they've really been sprinkling us along the path here.
Yeah.
While instead of totally nuking everything and doing the laborious work of resetting the game, they kept everything as it is, and they're going to, what seems to be, go to yet the further vision that is yet to be achieved with 9th edition by changing Space Marines or the Marine profile. We're about to see Chaos and Imperium get 2-wound Marines and, different heavy bolters. And
I do want you to finish your train of thought, but this is actually something I want to comment on when you are
I'm raging, dude. Go ahead. Just jump in.
So I think 9th edition, I know it was scheduled for this year. I'm confident of that. But I will wholeheartedly tell you up front that so far, and I do think that Games Workshop has largely used COVID as their excuse. I feel like that's a dirty way to put it. I think that puts a lot of blame on GW, like a lot of negative connotation on it when I use the word blame. I think they've done a really, really, really bad job in terms of support with the rollout of 9th. I think because my suspicion is they were relying so heavily on the community for feedback to get the ball rolling on 9th edition for their FAQs and all of these questions we want answered, that they've basically said, hey, we're just going to be really quiet until we can figure stuff out. And I don't like that, admittedly. I think very recently, like over the course of 7th to 8th edition, we got used to as a community to a very vocal, very responsive Games Workshop, which is something we did not have before.
Mm-hmm.
And this is giving kind of like an air of like, oh God, is Games Workshop going to go back to just shutting the hell up? Like, no, don't do that. Like, keep talking, keep talking, keep talking.
Right. Yeah, that was something I was watching a video from Glass Half Dead's channel, and he's a kill team connoisseur, and he was like his video post was, "Is Kill Team dead?" And was just talking about the support that even that game's been getting, how it's been quietly just kind of left alone. It hasn't been included in the upcoming release schedules. And even though there's new things coming out for 40K, like the Judicar and these new Primaris things, are the profiles going to change in Kill Team? Or are they going to stay at one wound? Like for Space Marines.
I mean, look at even recently for the teases, Games Workshop's own words have been, hey, we're releasing something for all of our specialist games. Necromunda got hit. Warcry got hit. 40K got hit. Horus Heresy got, all of these games got updates. Kill Team wasn't mentioned, not even once.
So
it definitely gives people some scary.
Yeah, so that feeling, and what's crazy, what I keep marveling at is the fact that we let ourselves continue to take this abuse, and it's just, especially when there's games that are so incredible like Infinity. I guess that I'm salty that I want more people to play Infinity with me.
Certainly.
Right? And I'm mad that it's like such a lower cost of entry, and that they really nurture and feel like they're like, it's like I played it today and like it'd been a while, and I was like, wow. Just like left and right, it just felt like I was like had a game that was going to reward me in every step of the way.
In a big way, GW is the Walmart of gaming. They are the big recognizable brand name. They are in every tabletop game store. They are prolific. And, part of it, it's like Gucci, Louis Vuitton, any kind of big brand, like that in itself sells itself. I mean, I'm not dissing Infinity with that, but they have been a smaller game, and it's hard to convince people to play the non-mainstream game. If you will.
Yeah. Well, that's what's been so wild is that like what I was realizing talking about as I go through the experience of the new edition of Infinity coming out, it's been making me take an even further wide-eyed lens, and by having the two different companies side by side, it's let me kind of analyze it even more deep. And I remember in those first 4 or 5 years of playing 40K, and the feeling of not even imagining playing another game. That there was no time, there was no, there was always something left to find, and I remember the sense of bewilderment, like the literally denial that I believed that GW was making a balanced game, and it was my fault that I hadn't figured out how to play it well enough, right? And I wrote that in. I was like, I swear to God, I'm just the next buy away from figuring out the codes and one more tournament.
No, I can tell you up front, George. I've watched you with a lot of gusto attack many game systems. You have much more of a palate for all these games than I do. I'm a complete fanboy. I'm the same way with video games. If I get stuck on a fantasy world, that's my shit. Like I have to beat it into the fucking ground. Mm-hmm. And I sort of know that about myself, but at the same time, like I don't always acknowledge it. It's difficult to acknowledge sometimes. However, like I've watched you attack Shadespire. I've watched you do kill teams. I've watched you do what was the Age of Sigmar Champions?
Yeah, Age of Sigmar Champions. Rest in peace. I wanted that shit to work.
A Warcry. I mean, you've tried so many of these games, and like I watch you genuinely attack them, and almost always out the gate say only positive things about them. I mean, you even tried Apocalypse, the new Apocalypse system, and that was just very clunky. I'm sure if we played a lot of it, maybe it would have been a good game.
We played We played 12,000 to 15,000 points out the gates. We
went a little too aggressive with it.
Yeah, should have like 3K.
And I can say, like sincerely, like, I may have my own like cursory notions of the game of Infinity, but like I consistently see across the board on the internet, on message boards and stuff. Like I've done a little bit of research here and there, almost without any kind of dissent. Every community is like, this is the balanced game.
Dude, check this out, right? So their release, they go There's one thing I'm interested in seeing is that they have their pre-orders go till August 28th. Apparently, by the way everything looks, September 1st is the rollout. I would give them every benefit of the doubt, like no shame if they take a week or two or it comes out at some. They haven't necessarily said August. It just looks like it's September 1st. And I just want to compare, like GW. Remember, 2 weeks before 9th would drop, we'd get our app. Oh, nope, don't get the app. When we do get the app
was such a
Army Builder doesn't even work. I'm so excited to see how Infinity, because when Corvus Belly drops, they've already had an Army app, and it's incredible. It smokes Battlescribe, and I didn't think that was easy to do. And it does it by particularly being able to filter everything in the game, where you can instantly, you're like, I want to look at.
I mean, I've seen that even like in the Cursor game we played, like you can literally filter available unit choices by like, hey, does it have this ability?
Yeah.
That's especially if you're like building to a specific mechanic.
War gear. Like imagine you could go to your codex in your Army Builder and say, show me everything in the book that gives me reroll ones. Yeah. And, if that could just appear like that, that would be so powerful. You could quickly find all the shenanigans that are in your shit. Instead, you have to go page after page and try to deep dive and connect keywords and check FAQs and add books. But in Infinity, it just tells you. It's like, here's like, but here in the Army Builder, it is about to drop an entire new edition. And everybody that plays Infinity is about to have their army be like a brand new army. Yep. And all the models that they already owned are awesome, just like they always were. And the thing that's so beautiful about that game, or just from a wide-eyed lens, is that the fact that you can pick something you think that looks cool or that you emotionally connect with, and you can pick that, and it's going to be viable. It's going to be able to win just as much as anything else, and that feels great.
That's something I've definitely, you've almost certainly caught that rant. I know Mike watching has definitely caught this rant from me from Games Workshop. Games Workshop does not do internal balancing well, and I know I don't want this episode to be the hey, let's crap on Games Workshop episode, but like, dude, like as a bug player, like I've counted before, compared to almost any other standalone book, I don't think it's currently true anymore because of all the Primera stuff, but there was a point where bugs had the most different units out of any army. I think we had like 28, and that was 7th edition where only 4 units got fielded, period. Like 4 out of 28. It's like, dude, like for there to be 28 different unit choices and only 4 of them to get fielded is criminal. Like,
like Mike says, this can be that episode. I'll allow it. Oh, I was thinking, to respond to that, Chris, I think that, I like that we have a unique perspective. I want to keep it honest, and I want people to play more Infinity. Is why whenever I can't talk about Infinity without kind of thinking, like, because that's part for me, a personal like appeal that makes me really love it. Is it's such a breath of fresh air comparatively to how I feel like I've been treated by GW or 40K. But I think that
hit me harder, GW.
But I swear that's also our own doing. And there's plenty of people out there that are watching right now that are like, look, I have tons of fun. You guys are just ruining the game for yourself because you're not playing it right. And because maybe the way to play a 40K is to let the rule of cool be what guides you, and you just bring what you think's cool to the table, and you
play
never
Crusade.
You collect models and you just play with your home. Like if you just play to have fun, it's awesome. If you buy models to win, then it becomes a little bit cancerous,
I actually had kind of a rant discussion with somebody in the Tennessee community recently. There was somebody new getting into the game talking about how cost prohibitive the game is,
Mm-hmm.
And they're definitely somebody who were like, I want to buy this and that, and they were selling off units and this and that. And I could tell they didn't like my perspective because I was very much like, listen, man, like you're going to be really pissed off playing 40K if you're going to be trying to buy and sell models left and right to try to stay what's good, stay out of the curve. I really cannot say enough. Like be a collector, buy every unit, like every unit, because if you don't take that perspective,
right,
you're gonna have a real hard life with this hobby.
You have to be. I like like Space Wolves. That's the easiest one for me, right? I'll say it right now. I had James commission that shit. I got it fucking China cast, and we had a group. We built it from the ground up, and it was $1,600. To have pretty much and that was at a ridiculous deal at getting a commission painted,
Couldn't you have at least 4 Infinity armies for that price? Probably 5.
Dude, you can have a full blown codex of Infinity for like $300, like everything WYSIWYG.
Yeah.
But I have my portion of the Space Marine Space Wolves, that I got painted up and a board and all that. But like what I'm saying is that when I got that made for 2, if not 3 years, the entire 8th edition, it just got beaten. I may have had fun and like won and been like killed things. I was always like the underdog, and I'd slam things in the face and I'd come to a smoking finish, but I'd never win, and it was never consistent, and it was basically just not something I could play to be a tournament winner, right? And like when you want to play the game competitively, that's us that wants to make it competitively. GW's like, we just trying to sell models. I'm glad you guys want to play it competitively. We'll try to help you out. But they're just not saying outright that, look, guys, we don't got the resources to keep up with y'all, or like or we're not good at it or whatever,
Well, and that's something that I watched another show cover today. Even like Games Workshop does not like to use the word tournament. Like whether it's, I know that they recently put out, their what is it technically not their, they use GT comfortably because it's an acronym, but like they really don't like encouraging the word tournament in general. They're like, this is matched play.
Right.
This is organized play.
Right.
They don't like outright saying, hey, this is for people to try to win against each other in a bracket, because at its core, and this is the truth, when 40K first started, it played much, much, much more like Dungeons and Dragons. It was not this, hey, I have an army and you have an army, and like it was much more hero hammery and like much more narrative.
Almost like orky in its style, like Blood Bowl even. Like things go flip on its head, and it's almost like a happy accident generator. Like what's the most weirdest shit that could go down in a game, and that's a fun moment. It makes you laugh and
definitely, and like it's those are the moments that people should be playing for. But ideally, you can get those moments out of a balanced game, and that's something that I think hasn't been enough effort committed to.
So just to comment, because I don't want to go too deep on the let's make the fact that this isn't stopping the fact that we have huge collections and we're going to be playing this game for a long time. I think that everybody needs to be able to have the self-reflection to bitch about the game a little bit, But the what's wild, and another just kind of perspective to throw in the mix here, is I just had a game on the channel a few episodes back where I played the White Scars, and it was Space Wolves versus White Scars. It's pod 13, right? And so I have my most optimized Space Wolf list. After doing 13 tournament pods, I've came to a pretty good conclusion of what I like. And it's two Relic Leviathans, 2 Rapier Carriers, and 3 units of Wolfen. It's nasty, and triple litanies with Ulrich and a Wolf Priest.
Gross.
Yeah, so it's there you go. That's all it is. It's just good, and and Murderfang, excuse me, because he rules, dude. He's at a power level where he can just come in from strategic reserve for 1 CP. It's great.
I saw you mention that. That's definitely solid.
It feels good, but especially when you play the Vanguard maps that have the long table board edge.
Where you can come in much closer.
Yeah, as the battlefield edge, it can really trick it up, search and destroy map. But dude, when I played White Scars, it was an incredibly great game. And it was top tier competition, it was the top meta shit where we both had all this cheesy, nasty stuff.
Yeah, White Scars are a good army right now. They're probably
great.
One of the best. They're probably the best well-rounded Marine force now. Without having to super lean into anything. They
can advance and charge, fall back and charge, and get they get extra damage on turn 3. So they're getting chainswords to do 2 damage and shit. It's nasty, right? And their strats are incredible. And my buddy that I went against had already won one of the pods in the series. He's definitely a very competent player with an excellent list. It had a Judicar, had his Soul Intercessors coming out of Impulsors. It was all this Primaire nastiness. And I'm like, all right, I got my Wolfen. Let's go. I got my old school. I got my 8th edition transplant with my Relic Leviathans that are still not nerfed like a Hellforged Dreadnought. Let's rock, dude. And the game we hit the table with both 7 CP each. We both had the exact same CP when we hit the table and had spent 5 pregame. And then when we played based on from there, the game was over by turn 3. I had 3 units, he had 2 units left, and the entire game happened in first and second turn. And we were practically tabled each other. It was literally just how the dice went and who got to do what in what order. The fact that he had the Judicar that makes you fight last, and then I had the Armor of Rust paired with that, and then the fact that I Death Frenzy and fight when I die when I'm wolfing. There's overrides. There was just so many alternating combats that everything kind of unfolded where he wasn't. It was like almost like if you've not been in the situation before, you're not going to really know how to figure it out until it happens to you. And but basically, all of his assault intercessors died before they got to fight. It went down. But like one interesting note to make there is like, say somebody makes you fight last with the Judicar, which is like a very prevalent thing now, right?
Yeah.
The override strat now is not just in your opponent's turn anymore. You know, like as soon as your enemy fights, you can override. So if they make you fight last and it's like a multi-combat, you could still like have them fight and then you override and still fight before they fight.
Interesting.
The rest of their multi-combat.
We've seen a few interesting rulings in terms of that kind of thing. Like, I guess that kind of is the opposite almost of like we saw a ruling now with the fallback stratagem, Desperate Breakout, where like you can't do that versus things that prevent you from falling back.
Mm-hmm.
If I recall correctly.
Yeah, well, they have like an order of operations, like the contorted epitome where you got to roll 3d6 leadership check. You would do like the 3d6 leadership. I think you like attempted. I can't remember exactly, but I think you attempt the strat, and then like you have to escape the 3d6 ability to be able to actually use the strat to get out. It's something like that. But yeah, there's interesting things, and the Judicar is powerful. But that game was incredible, dude. And I just think that it's interesting that while there's this power creep, that I think that a lot of the bitching is coming from a lot of imbalance. Because honestly, the 9th edition rule set is pretty damn excellent. Like, I love it. I think that it's an improvement from 8th. It's a lot of fun, but we need better defined terrain. Like that, as far as like how much is on the table and what pieces and what footprints they take up and what distance they should be apart, all of that nonsense, which we recently wrote rules for Warp Charge for our events, and it's been working out great. Honestly, you know, just to mention it right now, is that the people from feedback from the battle reports is what dictated how much terrain we put on the tables, right?
So, question.
Yeah.
Are you going to allow people to bring terrain to your tournament?
Oh, right.
Stupid rules at Games Workshop. Come on, Games Workshop. That is literally like, it's like you're intentionally avoiding the question by like throwing out like, here, take this instead.
Yeah.
No, wrong. That's absolutely incorrect.
Apparently they gave us like a preview or something like. Apparently there's like 18 more missions coming or something.
Yeah, there's more missions in the packet. People are hoping for new secondaries. And
I hope so too.
They basically said like, hey, like we're gonna make it so that event organizers, you know, literally only have to provide a roof and tables. Now, some of the suspicion with this is that maybe Games Workshop is going to have a more organized role, like Magic the Gathering or Wizards of the Coast or Konami with their games, and maybe they will appoint event organizers for certain areas or regions where these event organizers can just show up.
That's exactly what Infinity does, just heads up. You know, they have a world scale event, and they produce the tournament packet, and it's 20 missions, and you know, the sick thing in Infinity is people really build their list to the missions because of how powerful it is in that game, and you actually bring 2 lists to an event and interchange them per what your opponent is in their and the mission. But you
should bring up some of those model pictures while you're talking.
I'll give it a go. Okay, it was basically the new Blue Wolf and the what was it? I gotta find it now. Dude, it's my man Scott Hutchins from Black Carapace Studios. He doped out our Crusade. I got it on the screen right now. This is our Crusade event flyer. It's our Crusade system where you're gonna mark people who you fought. Here we go. This is the Blue Wolf. This thing is incredible. It's a new Yu Jing tag, and one of the new changes that are going down in Infinity is that they're making it so you can only bring a max of 15 models. Or 15 orders, let's say, because sometimes things are dual models and things like that. And so it's going to force you to spend some of your points on more elite things. People have been bringing a lot of just like trash units and having the power of a bunch of orders.
Spamming a bunch of orders, yeah. Because
Yep.
more units is more orders.
Yep. So they're basically forcing people to start bringing more heavy infantry and the large models, and they're giving like basically every faction like a new large tag. And I thought this would be an incredible like try to convert it into like a Bjorn or a Murderfang.
I would say how big are these things? Because I mean they
this
could
is
make
bigger. This is bigger than Murderfang.
Okay, they're bigger than Murderfang. I was going to say, if these are the right size, they'd be way better than the models for Terminators for Space Wolves, but they are a good bit bigger than Terminators.
Yeah, they're like a knight inside the game. You know,
that's cool.
So that he is like basically like a Wraith Knight inside that game as far as scale.
Could even use like them as what are they called, the baby knights, the onagers or whatever.
Yeah,
they're called.
yeah. It would be kind of thin in stature, you know, but yes, I would say it's almost like a demon prince, which is just a little bigger than Murderfang.
No, they're dope, man, with the claws and the.
But
I don't know if it's a flamer or what, but it looks like a flamer.
I think I'm not sure what that weapon is. That might be a heavy machine gun of a Yujing futuristic type. But the main deal, dude, is just, I mean that sculpt. Like their new sculpts are insane, and it's basically like kind of like regular Space Marine to Primaris. Like they just kicked it up a huge notch, and there's 3 new factions that are hitting all at the same time. Everyone is going to have basically new armies to play as the new edition is like wrote into the rules. Like that whole two wound Space Marine thing. Like there's a whole next like 2.0 that's still yet to come as everybody gets their new codexes. It seems like in 40K, and they just are doing that out the gate. Like it's the new game as a new all-in-one package. But at the same time that we get a brand new army builder and our own armies are already new, and there's 3 new armies to the game, we get the rule book for free, totally accessible, and we get a 20 mission or however many, usually it's 20 traditionally, a whole new season of tournament missions that are going to be catered and balanced around the new edition. How fantastic. And they've done so many streamlining things. Like I'm loving some of the crazy new rules that I've heard that aren't crazy. They're just like every kind of feel bad mechanic that I can recall having in an Infinity game. It seems like those are the rules that they're trying to fix.
That's good.
Yeah, and streaming. Like crits are way less like like crit will still beat out any like face-to-face roll, but it doesn't just instantly wound. Now you get to make 2 saves. We can get to have like all your armor and cover bonus.
That's cool.
Yeah, and it looks like they're going to give you as a way to they're going to let you pre-measure movement is what it looks like. So you don't get to pre-measure the range of your shot, but you can make sure that you like where you're going and that it's like a legal move. So you don't just like end up like fuck. I just got out of coherency of my link team. You also like one of the cool things is that they're talking about that this is one of my favorites. And if you end up going second, you can spin a command point and make one of your units go into suppression fire.
Interesting.
So that's super powerful because now all these like forward deploying and like infiltrating units, you could choose to be like kind of going for second place and then put that thing into suppression, which is dangerous and hard to uproot and can really eat the order pool of your enemy.
I was gonna say, I wonder if that's also partially to offset the fact they cut down the unit cap to 15 or whatever, the order cap to 15 because
maybe so.
Yeah.
Yeah, one thing that's really interesting that could create, it always created kind of a gray area, kind of a cheeky kind of situation, and was very tough for new players, is that they would, the hidden deployment is going away. While it was cool, there's no more like turn your back and let me take a picture anymore. So now models that are in hidden deployment in a state of camouflage will be represented by a token. And as they were before, but now it used to be that like certain models could be like really hidden and they just weren't even visible to you. Now you still have that with combat jumps, like deep strikers basically, and nobody will know that you have deep striking units. That's still secret to the opponent.
Yeah.
But models that are actually on the table can't just like become visible all of a sudden and be behind something, which is cool. And then another crazy thing, man, is that there's so many Infinity's became a little bit like crazy with the amount of like conferring rules. Like if you have this rule, then you also have this rule. Like martial arts, if you have martial arts, then you also have stealth. And they were 2 separate things that one is conferred, and it's a pain in the ass for new people. Now they're going to make it so that like what your ability does is just on your sheet. So if you have like mimetism, and it gives you a -3 to be shot. It doesn't just say mimetism, and you got to look it up. It just says mimetism -3 right on your data sheet.
Yeah,
So,
that's definitely something I've seen actually. Even I think I saw that yesterday or today as well. Somebody was complaining about that on some of the 40K data sheets. So I mean, like having all of these things be close to gaming aids, where you can use them much more actively without having to cycle through rule books, is definitely preferable. I mean, I even saw with the new matched playbook or whatever it is, the new tournament mission book,
yeah,
there are people that are upset that these smaller point games come before the 2,000 point games, because they're like, everyone is buying this book for the 2,000 point games.
it's annoying. It's annoying every time. Yeah, it's annoying every time. Speaking of the rule books, made me think of, like, I use I like the digital books, and I use the core rule book only for my narrative rules to look up, and I use the Grand Tournament book for all my match play rules to look up, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I have it bookmarked as such. But man, am I getting excited about the Crusade. I want to mention that real quick, because Saturday we're going live with a ton of Crusade content on the channel. And it's funny because Mike was mentioning earlier, you should see some of these lists, dude. Crusade and narrative, those terms to me lately have just become pure brutality, is all that means. it just means insanity and brutality. Like, I've seen some of the craziest and like fastest matches. I've been playing these 1,000 point or 50 power level matches in like 30 minutes. The board's so small.
Yeah. I mean, that kind of it definitely rewards, it seems like, making big plays. I mean, I know that people don't like. I feel like one of the big things in 8th edition we saw that people didn't like was the Alpha Strike, like, oh, the game is over. But like, it doesn't seem explicitly like that's what you're describing. It's simply like, hey, like, everyone has to play a little bit more aggressively and move forwards, because especially at the core of the game for 9th, like, controlling more objectives is so important. Like, scoring all of your objective points seems like it's become. I don't want to say it's become more important, because at the core of it in 8th edition, it was still important.
Yeah.
But I mean, on a smaller board, that conflict happens so much faster that you really have to build for it, it seems like.
Yeah, well, the Crusade missions in themselves, they're not like out of control. They're like, but every time, I just think I'm just not used to it, man. Because like every time I've hit the table, it hasn't been about the mission at all. It's just like, oh my God, you're so close. Here I come. I have to fight you. You're right there. I mean, like, imagine my buddy had, Austin, I played Austin's Crusade list, and every time I've played a game, I've had to, like, change it because it's gotten wrecked. And I've, like, built all these different lists trying to make it work. And Austin's list had these, he took Black Legion, I think it was Black Legion, Terminators. He had Abaddon, which is Black Legion, obviously, but he had these Terminators that I think had all the Chaos Gods that he could give them. So he could stack like Glamour Zine, or not Glamour Zine, but he could stack all these modifiers on them.
All the Chaos Undivided stuff.
Yeah, go crazy on it. And he had Abaddon to back it up or whatever. He had the old Chain Lord that had like the ridiculous amount of attacks. And then he just had a big screen so that he could take the brunt of a hit and then hit you. But because of power level, these Terminators could all have Melta-Guns, they could have Melty Combi Bolters, and they could all have Chain Fist. And and they for whatever reason they could fight twice, shoot twice. And
gross.
And dude, and like, so these Meltas, it was a 12-inch Melta range. Well, it's a 30-inch board to cross, and you're already like start 6 inches up.
Yeah, so it's like literally like, oh, well, like after my move, that's literally my shooting range covers half of the remaining board.
Yeah, and then like if you moved at all, they're in Melta range. Like with this whole thing that shoots twice, and you're just like, you're gone. It's like 10. It was 10 Melta shots shooting twice. It's 10 Terminators.
Heat ray go.
And then they charge you, and it's fist. You're just dead. But like, so I've been making these greater demon lists and trying to make these unkillable greater demons.
Yeah,
and it's been pretty fun. The latest list that I'm probably rocking, I am going to be going with, is 1 Keeper of Secrets, 1 Lord of Change, 1 Bloodthirster, and then 1 Demon Prince on foot with Axe, and 2 units of Nurgling. That's my 50 power level.
Dope.
It's 2 patrols. But what I'm super stoked on, man, is the level of participation we got going on, and just how much content this is going to be, and how exciting it is to kind of like just get to spin in a circle and just have matches with all these different varieties of games. But these games have been finishing in 30 minutes with 2 to 3 turns happening. We haven't been able to score points hardly. Like every time we score points, they're like, okay, I have 10 points. Let's keep fighting, because all we are is right in the shit. It's here and now is what happens. But nobody's bringing, like, I'll just bring some lackadaisical whatever. At least not the people that I've played so far. I know there's 30 people signed up so far, Chris, and it's literally a free-for-all style pairing system. We have this awesome spreadsheet set up that you put your scores in. And we have it set up to automatically calculate the win-loss ratio of Imperium, Chaos, and Xenos. And I'm really trying to figure out a good way, now that we've gotten so much prize support built up, to rewards the best in factions in some way. Maybe you might have maybe you could help me brainstorm something, or our friends in our chat could. Trying to figure out how do we give like a best for three prizes, one for best Xenos, best Chaos, best Imperium.
Well, if an Eldar player wins Best Xenos, you should kick them in the dick. Sorry. I mean, I have nothing against Eldar. I mean,
Well, the main thing is that the challenge to it is it's easy to say best in by most wins or whatever. But I'm trying to make it so somebody can join the crusade at any stage over the 3 months that it's taking place and have just as much of a chance to win as somebody else, you know?
That's cool. I mean, at the core, you know, like, yeah, Mike said there's no genes.
Yeah. Step. We need you.
But, you know, like, as long as you can get in 3 games, I mean, it seems like with the Crusade system, like you should be able to make that work. I think, right?
I was thinking of all kinds of things with Mike there. What work? I forgot what we were talking about.
Getting to do an award, or having as much of a chance to win, coming in later than sooner.
Right, because you can play so many games. I guess so. Because like I've seen in the pods with 15 pods, like Mike and Hagen damn near played just as many, if not more, games as me.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, watching the pod system happen, it's just been so much rapid fire, like literally 40K. I'm just like, dude, like you're like, we're on pod 6 and now it's pod 8 and now it's pod 12. I'm just like,
yeah,
Jesus.
It's been flying, dude. Yeah, I mean, if you calculate it, it's been over, like if you were to have to fill every slot of 8-man pods, it was over 100 some participants required. That was really just round robin by about 30 people. Aggressively playing 9th edition and competitively, and we're about to reach the mark where all the pods are completing themselves now. We almost have 8 unique winners. Right now there's 2 pods open in the first season, because once we cross the 8 pod threshold, we're trying to get 8 unique winners to go to a finals. Every time someone wins a pod for the second time, they've like duplicate win, it makes the 9th and 10th and 11th pod go into season 1. And right now there's 2 games that are pending that if the people win these two pods, then they're repeat winners, and like pods 11 and 12 get bumped down into season 1. And continues on until we have 8 unique winners. And there's already a season 2 that's like getting almost halfway full. But I'm saying that people will play the shit out of some games, and I don't want somebody to be just move into town, see there's a month left in the Crusade, and be like, damn it, I've always wanted to play Crusade. I've missed the first 2 months. I wish I could compete for Best in Chaos, but there needs to be a good reason for them to, that's not just based on straight up amount of games played,
Certainly.
So right now we have like Best Painted, Best Narrative of your army. One of my favorites, and what I would like the best in faction to be like, is best in-game moment, and it's described in our Discord by like a picture or like a video clip or a written, however you want to do it, and you just like basically tell the tale of a cool moment that happened in game. And if it gets the most upvotes from the community, then both players will win, and that's pretty tight, right?
That's actually, I really love that idea, because especially at BG, with the TVs and everything you guys have going. Encouraging those kinds of like video things, I mean, with permission from the people who shot the videos, of course, I think that speaks hugely to the events to have that kind of player commentary. If you can just be like on the, just like on a small Rolodex of like, yeah, like I played in this event and this happened and it was awesome and blah, 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 I mean, I know I'm watering down the significance of whatever moment these players are speaking to, but I think that's hugely good publicity for any kind of event at Battlegrounds. I mean, obviously, it would only play in Tournament Battlegrounds, but like,
I just want to see a bunch of those in-game shots, man. 30 in-game shots of like cool moments is going to be awesome, you know?
definitely.
Like it's those moments where it's just like that one guardsman left against a bloodthirster and he takes him down, you know?
One guardsman kills a knight. It's like, yeah, I did
Yeah.
it. Fix bayonets.
Yeah, we've all seen that silly shit happen, and I look forward to hearing some of the tales. But I wish I could think of a way to reward someone for, and like what I really want is the fact that, like, let's say that Chaos is underperforming and that or Imperium already doubles. It's almost 50. It's a very nice blend we have, actually, where about 50% of the players are Imperium, but there's hardly any duplicates. And that's talking about Astra Militarum, Sisters of Battle, AdMech, you know, a mixed bag here. And then a lot of different legions. But in the Chaos, it looks like we're double Death Guard, we're double Salamander. But otherwise, though, we're a nice blend. And I think there's about half the player base that's Chaos Xenos and half of it that's Imperium. So technically, you know, Xenos or Chaos are a little bit of the underdogs. And I'd like an underdog award, even if you didn't give like all best in factions, but you just gave one player like an underdog style award. That would be exciting too. I don't know. I got a lot of ideas, dude. I just want to reward everyone for playing lots of games.
Yeah. I mean, it would be cool if we could work out a deal with like a local painting thing where they could get a model painted or something.
Ooh. I like that. That's always a great idea.
Of their winning faction, you know, let's not reward a Chaos player with having his Eldar painted because that's filthy.
That is filthy. True.
But you know, like,
that is true.
Like,
yeah. We secretly don't tell them that we will just like smack them if they bring us up.
Yeah, exactly. We're gonna Rochambeau you for the rights over that model.
Yeah.
But you know, as it stands, yeah, that seems cool. I mean, Tyler in chat suggested maybe custom objective marker or custom combat ruler or something. Robles was asking about a clarification about win percentage.
I thought he was suggesting like winning percentage, like in sports, with a minimum game cap, maybe.
Yeah.
I see what you mean. So like you could do a win. You could do just like your best win percentage. Like so, I don't know. That gets weird too. Because like you could do a minimum cap. You have to play at least 10 players. Your best 10 score out of 10 scores, right? And you have to at least play like 10 people.
Yeah, I was gonna say, as long as you have a minimum cap on games, like you have to have had this many games in, then it doesn't.
It does though, from a narrative, like you know, when I say narrative, and we think of like I wanted to do this to help new players get into the hobby, and I wanted to get to work with people that hadn't played Warhammer or organized play. You know, trying to coax people into the ITC and competitive environment. So I don't want anyone to feel like, so you're trying to make it like you think the narrative and stuff is more casual and more relaxed and giving more of an open playing field for these new players to come in. But all the veterans also want to play Crusade, and they're bringing some nasty shit. There's some stuff out there that is just going to wreck people's day. And I want them to still have fun while doing it. And the only way that's going down is because they're going to have fun because the people that are going to be doing it are good people and they're going to do it with a smile and with a teaching moment. And I'm sure when that does happen. But I also still want some incentive for even when you're losing to keep going. You know what I mean?
Certainly.
So that's my intention behind the rules that are coming. I'm in no pressure. It's a 3-month event. I don't have to think of anything anytime soon. What's we laughing at in the chat? Object mark with your face on it sounds pretty fun. Nice. Shit.
Yeah.
940.
Freaking.
Yeah.
I mean, that's dope though. The Crusade is seeing some play. That's something that, you know, going into 9th, I've been very excited for in general. I mean, I know in 8th edition, there was a while where I was looking at some of their campaign rules kind of with envious eyes. Like, man, I wish you could do this kind of stuff in main 40K because you could create some really wonky lists and cool concepts that are different from what we're seeing constantly being prolific. So seeing an element of that bleed into the mainstream of 40K is refreshing. I mean, at its core, and seeing that you guys have 30 plus people sign up for this, I mean, I don't know if that speaks to people being hungry post COVID for gaming, or if it's just like, hey, people like are really super into it. But either way, like, more games is good. I mean,
Honestly, the vibes, because a lot of, like I said, there's 30 people that are signed up for the pods, and there's a lot of those transplanted into the Crusade. A lot of it is just that we just rocked like 15 pods of Battlegrounds in a month and a half. We're all a little bit. That's what I talked about in the very beginning of the episode. Is the stuck on an island thing, dude. Like right now, I'm already a little bit like burnt out. Like we started out with this like here we are talking about the glory of 40K and Crusade, but like I started out this episode just shit talking 40K, and it's because like I'm already stale. It's stale right now, and until they give us these new Marines and the new Necrons and like give us that, like right now our litanies happen in our turn and not in the command phase, but we all know it's happening. And we have to wait until October. Like I saw somebody the other day say, talk me into like what Space Marine should I buy? And the main answer is don't buy anything until we know what the hell's going on in this game.
Yeah, and Mike has hypothesized that the Codex is going to not be an outright nerf, but it's going to bring down some of the shenanigans with Space Marines. So it may be like a toning and like fine tuning of the Space Marine power. Like people have been rumored, like, oh, Assault Doctrine will only be in I forget. Like they've talked about narrowing down some of the doctrine shenanigans and stuff like that.
Totally.
And we may see that, we may not, but like you alluded to, and like I was kind of hinting at earlier in the episode, like we have so little information from Games Workshop right now.
Yeah.
And it's not good. It doesn't feel good.
Yeah, so that's where it's just like craving something different. Like Ninth has dropped, and at Battlegrounds we've played it competitively a lot. I know I have, and the channel's been featuring it a lot, trying to play it competitively. We don't have ITC anymore. I've literally been playing rulebook missions, and that hasn't happened in years. So and like
some people have never done that.
Yeah, and it's the first time we've had rulebook missions with secondaries besides in Kill Team.
Yep.
So like I'm like we had like agendas in the Age of Sigmar, which we have Age of Sigmar pods going on by the way now. So I've been a busy man as far as TOing, tournament organizing. It's been pretty awesome. Crusades, pods, Age of Sigmar, and now Infinity. I've been backing up very slowly and trying to let the community just go have fun playing 40K. I'm only going to be playing Crusade for a hot sec on the channel, and I'm ready to dive into the new edition of Infinity and really get swallowing that up, which we have a whole separate channel for any longtime fans that didn't know. It's probably not easy to find because it only has like 100 people.
What's that channel name?
It's just like Warp Charge Gaming Infinity Battle Reports.
Damn right.
That's right. It's out there. It's beautiful.
Check it out. There's going to be a new edition N4 coming out.
Oh, it's cool, man, because we fucking do a good job filming Infinity, and there's very little battle reports out there. Most of them are done with a camera in your hand, just wobbling all over the place. But that same way that we do our awesome like 4-camera setup, we do it with Infinity, and I think it's dope. But I was on a tangent. Infinity, being on an island, it's gotten stale, so we're excited with Crusade. Yeah, it's true. Let's see what Tyler says. Thoughts on how to play Crusade for Dummies video? I like it. I tried to just do a live how to play in a general sense to the Crusaders that are going to be at Battlegrounds, and I ended up rambling for like 20 minutes. There's a lot to talk about.
That's basically one of our podcasts.
Yeah, we had an episode of 50 times ago where everybody's kind of sat for a second. I just ranted. I think we had it zoomed in on Chris's face really big. Yeah, man, don't get me started, Tyler. Don't get me started.
And so before we, wrap up or anything, I know we're talking about all kinds of newness. I have been, this has been a very quiet news week for Games Workshop. Okay. They've only really talked about one thing, and I may be one of the only people in the world that gives even half of a fuck about this shit. Yeah. So I'm going to move the camera real quick. Hopefully it's not too noisy. No, I've actually got the Blackstone Fortress board set up back here because we've been playing. I recently picked up some of the expansions for Blackstone Fortress. We've been playing the dreaded Amble box. We've been getting into escalation. I haven't played the Zote one, which is it's not Abominable Intellect, but the last Warhammer Quest Blackstone Fortress expansion is coming out, and this has the monstrous Guardian drones. Warhammer Quest Blackstone Fortress Ascension. This is the last installation of Blackstone Fortress, and I'm pretty hype on this. Of course, the models have rules for 40K. The 40K rules are very interesting because if this new model is an HQ choice, you may see them in 40K.
Yeah, I was seeing some of the things you were talking about in the chat. I'll try to bring up the model while you talk about it.
Yeah, I put up the link in the Warp Charge chat. It's a giant spindle drone for anyone who doesn't know what those are. But they have this special rule. So the tiny little spindle drones have a really crappy weapon. It's an 18-inch pistol, strength 3, damage 1, no AP. But if they're within 6 inches of the giant spindle drone, you add 3 to the strength, armor penetration, and damage characteristics of these drones' gun. So these normally strength 3 single damage pistols are now strength 6, -3 AP, and 4 damage.
Yeah, it sounds whack.
Sounds kind of ridiculous.
Yeah.
But on talking newness in 40K, I'm super excited. Games Workshop is not paying me for this ad, but I'll tell you at the gate. While we're crapping on this for a moment, this new box for 2 models from Games Workshop. Guess that price tag? $112 hairs. Damned right.
Damn. Are you what?
No kidding.
Damn.
Not a fan of that, I'll admit to you.
You tell me those 2 drones are $112?
Well, to be fair, there's also rules and tiles and board pieces, but yes, those 2 models are $112, and they're going to get every one of those dollars from me. You can bet your little red wagon on that, sir.
Damn.
Because this is the last expansion for Blackstone Fortress, and I'm going to have it all.
Yeah. Been having a good time. That's cool, man. I would love to have you move back to Richmond and us play a lot of Blackstone Fortress. Just saying.
Hey, you know what? It could happen, and it should happen. It should happen, and it will happen.
That'd be fun.
And I'm going to have much more painted models. I actually, it's farther than I would like to reach, but there's the box with the Firebrand Cultist and the Zote, and I have the Amble right here.
Dude, I'll tell you, dream team, dude. We get Mike, we get me, you, and then we get Ali and Ryan and his boy, and we'd be having a good ass time, dude. That'd be a good ass time. That'd be some good Warp Charge content. It seems the game is too easy though. It gets hard, right?
You need the deck of cards that makes the game harder. It sounds stupid. Games Workshop loves that financial bleed, but like all of the enemies have kind of like behaviors that they act on. So if you don't have 5 players, like 1 player being the DM and basically controlling the enemies are too stupid for their own good. That's the sincere truth. They don't fight you hard enough. And there's a deck of cards that basically it's the Abominable Intellect deck that makes the enemies much, much, much more difficult. Strong recommend. Very, very hard to find though, because that deck of cards, the Trader Command, and at least one of the other boxes, No Respite, which is the Plague Marine box that Mike is dissing in chat, which he has every right to diss. That is $60 for 3 Nurgle Marine models. Also Blackstone Fortress expansion. Not even like particularly cool Nurgle Marine models. I'm pretty sure they may actually also be sold somewhere else.
Yeah. Wow.
But some of the Blackstone Fortress stuff is really hard to get because they were a limited print run. But for those that don't know, Warhammer Quest is it's like a series game. So like I think Silver Tower is actually a Warhammer Quest game as well.
Right.
But they basically do mini campaigns. Blackstone Fortress is the most recent sci-fi campaign. So other big things from Game Workshop to come. Who knows what is going to be the next Warhammer Quest game?
Yeah, Mike's associate Connor in there as the third party. He could play all the enemy models. Wouldn't that be fun to just talk shit to Connor the whole time while we fight him?
I would love that.
That'd be
Actually,
awesome. Oh my god, sounds great. Oh, we gotta make that happen one day. Well, man, this has been fun. You know, there's some cool stuff to talk about. I hope, you know, I think mainly our friends watch this. We don't have any trolls on our talk shows. They come.
And if we do, fuck them.
Yeah. Yeah. But the forgot where I was going. Yeah. I just know that sometimes, very commonly even, if you were to go to like the competitive 40K Facebook group or just Warhammer 40K Facebook group, and somebody gets on there and starts bitching about 40K or Games Workshop, there is a large number of people that some will say, yeah, I totally feel you, bro. Right there with you. Like $112 for this expansion? Fuck you, GW. Right?
Yeah.
But then other guys will be like, if you don't like it, go play another game, loser. Get on out of here. You know, they'll be like that. And it's like, I hate those hooks. But
no one is forcing you to buy this.
Yeah, exactly.
You go somewhere else.
Yeah.
While I put on my top hat and monocle and let you know that I'm better than you.
It must be nice that you can complain about a game that a lot of people can't even afford and would love to play. Yeah. Well, here's the thing: is I just wanted people to play Infinity. Okay, so I can't talk about how great Infinity is to a 40K
3 new
audience.
Factions coming out for Infinity.
Come on.
Perfect time to get started. You could play an army that no one has yet. You could be the lone Gene Stealer cult player in a Crusade tournament because no one else has your army.
I'm trying, see, you could try hype or you could try guilt. You could be like, don't you feel bad for giving GW all your money when they treat you so badly? You should go to a company that cares about you. That's another strategy, okay, guys? I'm just trying to reach all the angles to appeal to whatever's inside your soul to go play Infinity, okay? It's not even that expensive. Christ, especially with the new edition.
Play Blackstone Fortress, and if you buy everything for Blackstone Fortress from start to finish, you've spent over $1,000.
You can. Wow. That's seriously. Check out Corvus Belli. They will treat you right. Okay, you will never go back. I mean, maybe you will, but you'll treat it more casually. You could have, when you want to play a game competitively and actually have a fair, honest chance, and you're rewarded for practice, go play Infinity. God, anyways, I'm excited, Chris. I'm excited about Infinity. It's 40K, yay. I'm excited about the Crusade particularly. And I really need to get playing Age of Sigmar again. It's been almost a year, I feel like. I haven't been able to motivate myself. There hasn't been anything like new or exciting for me, but I have been like, I'm very stingent now on spending money.
There's Hedonites of Slaanesh coming out, bro.
That's fair.
And new Daughters of Cain, which I don't think you play at all because that's an order army.
No.
But you know what? Those Hedonites of Slaanesh models are pretty sweet.
I bet you they're really broken, and we all get our ass kicked by any of the new model players.
I'm probably buying one of the new Demon Prince things for that, just because it'll be a cool Slaanesh model.
Yeah, I'll tell you, like literally, you playing Sigmar would motivate me to play Sigmar. So, just saying. If I just had one of my best buds here to play Sigmar with. If Mike buys the Daughters of Cain, Mike, if you want to dive deep into Sigmar, then I'll play some Sigmar. And I think that our channel enjoyed it when we did it. I don't know if a lot of people watching right now or that will watch in the back end that play 40K also are interested in Sigmar. But there's people out there that are, okay?
What up, Rawl?
And dude, I wouldn't even be surprised. Oh, nice to see you, man. If we did a Sigmar versus 40K challenge and like we say did a like, let's say we put out an equal over the next 2 weeks. 1 week's 40K, 1 week's Sigmar. I bet you a week later, the Sigmar would have more views than the 40K. But then Kill Team also competes pretty heavily with all those. As far as what people actually want to see on our channel, we pretty much said goodbye, Kill Team fans. Oh, you like Kill Team? Where you at, George? Where'd you go? I went to play Infinity. When I signed up for, you know what's coming up this weekend that's not happening? Nova Open 2020, rest in peace. And guess what?
Pour one out for all our Nova Open homies and James, who's not with the episode.
Yeah, pour them all out. Dude, that's what I was going to play at every single day. Mike included. We were going to play a shit. We were signed up for the 5-man teams. So it's going to be, I know Mike and me were definitely playing a 5-man team of some sort. And then we were going to play an Infinity tournament, and then another. It was like a 1-day Infinity tournament, and then a 3-day Infinity tournament with a narrative Infinity tournament. It was awesome.
I'm literally wearing the same pajama pants I was wearing while you were playing Kill Team at last Nova.
Look at us now. Look at us now.
We're practically here.
On the vines. Yeah, I guess so. I remember being a little bit more tipsy and having a little more fun, but it's practically the same.
Yeah.
Well, we're here, dude. We've reached the end. It's been a good time. Yeah. Mike says sad. Why are you running Wolf Claws with your Thunder Wolf and not for? I gotta answer Raw's question. Raw, I'm doing it because Wolf Claws are awesome on Thunder Wolf Cav because they have a lot of attacks. It's because I like the stratagems. I like the 6s to wound cause mortals against infantry, and I love being on a
reroll to wound.
Yeah, I love being able to reroll that, and it's just cheaper. My Wolfen. I use the Thunder Wolf Cav to mulch infantry and toughness 5 and below, and I use the Wolfen to destroy heavy things.
Kerslap.
Yeah, I used to run one Thunderhammer on the pack leader only. And honestly, my new list, I literally have been forcing the Thunderwolf Cav into my list out of Rule of Cool. And honestly, the Wolfen are just by far and far better. They're just better. And, so now my list doesn't even have Thunderwolf Cav in it. Where for the first launch of 9th and Saga of the Beast, I was like, yay, I have 3 stratagems I can put on these Thunderwolf Cav. Let me run them because they've sucked for 3 years. And it felt good. But the more I've played in this competitive environment with our local tournament scene here, the more I've been requiring the best thing I can bring, and that is the Wolfen in this case.
Yeah.
Because they fight when they die, because they advance the charge, because they have a feel no pain naturally.
Well, and I mean, the Wolf Claws being strength 5, that means even against, toughness 6, 7, and 8, you're going to be wounding on 5s with a reroll. Half your wounds that are successful that connect are going to cause a mortal via the stratagem because you're only wounding on 5s and 6s. So 50% of your successful wounds are going to cause mortals additionally. With the full reroll to wound, I mean, it's one of those things with the game still where strength 5 is going to wound most things higher toughness on 5s.
Which is nice, yeah.
Out.
Yeah, it's a Wolf Claw is nice, and it's -2, -3 later. But also the Wolfen are also infantry keyword, and being able to move through ruins and stuff is very big to your movement.
Yep.
Yeah. So those are why. Fight when you die alone is just so.
That's really powerful. I mean, Tyranids have multiple ways in that actually, but the characters can fight when they die, and there's also some, war gear and stuff for that.
I like Mike's attitude. He's like, George, we're going to Adepticon, though. I dig that, though.
Man.
Tyler says, thoughts on Wolfgard with Jump Pack? I don't really think about it. Man, like I said earlier, I spent $1,600 on my Space Wolves, right? And, that is a beautiful army, but it's still just a chunk of the Codex, and more shit's coming. They're not going. Your army will only. I play Space Wolves for a certain group of units, and I build nowadays. We talked about the right way and where the cancerous way to play Space Wolves can be. Or I'm not Space Wolves, but 40K. And nowadays, the healthiest way that I can enjoy the game is by building armies with the limitations. I build my own mini game of competition, where how good can I do with the collection that I have? What's the best list I can make with the models that I like the most? Right? Can I win with an army that isn't the meta army, or with the units that aren't the meta units? And the more you try to do that, you'll slowly find the balancing act of where I started with Thunderwolf Cav. I have to admit to myself, Wolfen are the best thing. I started with no guns. I have to admit to myself, Relic Leviathans are the best things I own that can sit in my army and kick ass as guns. Mm-hmm. I don't want to run those necessarily. I want to run all the dreads. I want Bjorn, Murderfang, Ragnar. I want all the cool characters. But Usually rule cool is what gets traded the more you realize efficiency and
Certainly.
output.
I mean, I recall when I was running Nidzilla, I was consistently running in a lot of our old battle reports only 3 Hive Guard, and like I had known it was a unit that gets maxed out on the stratagems for being a full-sized unit, and I think over like an 8-hour car ride to Chicago with Ali in the car, actually was on the way back. It was like you just got to do it, man. You just got to run it. You just got to run it. You just got to run it. Like it's so much better. I haven't gone back. I've still been using max size of squads of Hive Guard. I mean, look at where tiered lists are currently. People are running 18 of them.
Yeah.
Where I've been running 6.
Like Chaos, like the Obliterators are like a obvious shoe-in as one of the and then you give them Alpha Legion so they can have Conceal, or you do the Cultist Black Legion trick or whatever. There's like certain stratagems and rules that are like, this is a winning mechanic that's almost auto take if you play a certain faction.
But don't sell your army soul. Like that's actually one of Games Workshop's biggest strengths, I think, when you go to a Warhammer store, is that they sell you on the army. They're like, this is cool because this does this, and this does this, and this is this role in your army. Like, build what you want. And I mean, yeah, you're going to trade away parts of it to be competitive, but don't trade it all. That's just unfortunate.
So I'm Proxy King. Like, Tyler, I've never ran Wolfgard with jump packs, and I would just say these Bloodclaw guys are jump pack guys. Like, I don't love to hobby or whatever. So I'm an opportunist buyer, and that's another thing is that I just don't hobby myself. So like when if I saw 10 painted jump pack Wolfgard guys, then I would buy them. Especially if I could get them below normal retail, because it skipped all the hobby. And then I would have them, like I have some aggressors. I've never ran aggressors. I don't want to run Primaris, but I'll slip in. I got to do the Judicar, sometimes. He's an amazing rule set for 85 points. Or Ragnar, he's Primaris, and he's amazing. Sure, got to run him. But yeah, I'm not too sure about their... I think that there's a lot that they could work. Jump pack. You don't need deep strikers near as much anymore with strategic reserves.
Mm-hmm.
So like jump pack. Unless they're on the board jumping from out of cover, that could be solid. Like I've been surprised. I've been learning about how much people have been powerhousing Wolf Lords and Wolfguard battle leaders with Thunderhammers. They've basically been making Smash Captains with the new Space Wolf strats. And I have been playing that strategy besides on Murderfang and Ragnar, like making them explode with a bunch of hits. But I'm hearing stories of people going in with these Thunderhammer Smash Captains just like wrecking day because they're jumping.
Hey, what's
up?
Exploding Forest.
Yeah. And I'm like, yeah. And then they were just like, people are showing the math of there's these strats to go against. Like I think we talked about this last week. Like you can do a strat versus Thousand Suns and you can just get this a tons of exploding attacks where one of these Smash Captains can basically kill a Primarch, So I don't know. There's tricks that I don't know, and I basically build lists on what I have, and that's usually what people are seeing. And like Chris was mentioning earlier, when you buy into something, I've always just bought the entire collection of what I could get. I would,
hell yes.
I would look for a big lot to buy. Or I would just commission everything I wanted. So I wouldn't buy like, here's 500 points, here's 500 points. I get like 3,000 to 5,000 to 12,000 points of something, as much as I possibly can. So that because as you play, that not everything's going to be good. And you're going to have to try stuff. If you ever want to be original and figure out.
Stuff's going to change.
Yeah, stuff's going to change. Plus there's going to, again, you do want to, you have to try things out. And you might be trying to think of some sauce that's not necessarily provided yet, and you need a lot of tools in your toolbox to experiment with.
I mean, maybe flayed ones will be good once the Necron Codex comes out. I don't know. That would be cool.
Yeah, or like Scarabs, how they, Scarabs, Scarabs never really sucked, but let's just say swarm units, they're a lot better because they can go through walls now. Maybe you sold them at one point, now you wish you had them, whatever,
Yeah.
There's lots of instances where things become good and things become bad, and it goes up and down. It's a crazy roller coaster to keep track of, and that's why you got to let the rule of cool guide your heart. So, Wolfgard, wolf anything. Bark, bark, woof, woof. I like the Space Wolves.
Wolfen on Primaris bikes. Ooh, make it so.
Dude, that would be... What was somebody saying, though? I want to see a Bjorn. I want to see the Primaris Bjorn in a big chassis like that. But Wolfen riding Dreadnoughts or Thunderwolf Cav or Wolfen riding... There already is a Wolfen Dreadnought, but God, the profile is just so weak next to the Primaris Dreadnought. Kills me. As far as size and stature. I don't know. I don't know, Tyler. Tyler's my good friend now. We'll talk more about it. Tyler's wanting to get some ejector markers. I'm going to try to get him some. It's going to be cool.
They need to make a dreadnought version, because, you know, like the dreadnoughts hold like damaged space marines. They should make a dreadnought for Fenrisian wolves, where it's like a 4-legged dreadnought, and stick Wolfen on top of that thing.
Dude, pretty much. Yeah. Yes. Wolfen everything. Everybody needs to turn into werewolves in the Space Wolves Codex. That, like, the new book is just literally everybody's werewolves now.
Codex Wolfen.
Yeah. Instead of like snow flock, you just like put fur on everything. Yeah. You guys know what I'm talking
Codex
about.
of them all.
Yeah. I like it. Let's get the hell out of here, Chris. Everybody, thank you very much. You keep taking fun seriously. We'll see you very soon. Like tomorrow. I'm playing Connor tomorrow. Yeah. Well, Eldar
Oh my
action.
God.
Yeah.
You tell him that I hate Eldar.
It's going to be some good stuff. He's going to take those pointy ears and be like, bow, bow, take that pointy ears.